Okay, so let's get going, and we are going to kick things off with my esteemed colleague Susan Rossi, who's here with us today. And again, we're talking here about competitions as part of the virtual Military Adaptive Sports Expo hosted by Move United. My name's Julia Ray. I am the Programs Director for Move United, and you may have known us in our previous life as Disabled Sports USA and Adaptive Sports USA. So before we get started, as I mentioned just now, make sure you use the chat or the Q&A buttons if you'd like to ask us some questions today. We'd love to hear from you, or engage with us on social media as well, at Move United Sports. Tell us what you think of what we've said today, and also any other questions. You should be seeing closed captioning if you need that. It is enabled, and you can adjust the font size. And if you have any tech issues today, please also, you can email jarnold@moveunitedsport.org. So that's an option for you if you're having any additional trouble. So without further ado, I'm going to turn things over to Susan Rossi. She's here to speak with you today about the sanctioned competitions that Move United hosts throughout the year. So thanks, Susan.
Thank you, Julia, and welcome everyone. I cannot see you or be with you, but I am still excited to be in your presence today and talk a little bit about the competition space that we have throughout our network at Move United and around the country. As Julia mentioned, my name is Susan Rossi, and I've been in the field of adaptive sports and recreation and Paralympic sport for over 20 years, and a recreational therapist by trade, and I love all of this, and I hope you are all hooked on it as well, or will be in the near future. So not sure if you've all been to the other sessions today, but hopefully you've been on one or two. Today, as Julia said, we're going to dive into some of the competition opportunities that are available out there through our network. We have a series of about 20 events right now that are summer sports. Some are single sports, some are multi-sport competitions throughout the country. And they stem from our member network that you may have heard about earlier, approaching 200 members across the country. So 20 of these are strategically placed with member networks throughout the United States. These serve both youth and adults, as well as those injured servicemen and women that are with the armed forces and veterans. Last year, a lot of things were put on hold because of COVID, but in 2019, we served over 18 athletes that were unique throughout the country through these programs. Go ahead, Julia. We hope that these are good opportunities for some of the things that Leaf will be mentioning later on with the VA, that the Department of Veterans Affairs and other entities host, but know that the goal of these is to have locations throughout the country that individuals can drive to or fly to if they choose, that can be both recreational focused as well as competitive. So if you are going to some of the events, such as the National Veteran Wheelchair Games, Warrior Games, Invictus Games, all of those great things, that these are great training opportunities for you, get some more experience under your belt, as well as some good competition in. Go ahead, Joel. As I mentioned before, these are for both youth and adults. They span the whole spectrum, from somebody that's really new to sport, maybe practicing with a team or a coach on an ongoing basis, but not have had a lot of experience with competition. So somebody that's just getting out for the first time, all the way up to somebody that might be on the Paralympic podium and going to the Paralympic Games. So it's a pretty cool mix of people out there, with the ability for some of the older folks, both older in age as well as older in their experience with competitions, can mentor some of the young kids or some of the new athletes that are just coming out. So you have that whole spectrum. The ones that we have this year are listed on our website, and I'll go through those this afternoon with you. A few have been canceled because of coronavirus, but we are excited that 19 of them do plan on taking off in person, starting with the Texas Regional Games this month. Our website is live. We are going to be launching a new website here later this spring, but for now, know that you can get to the sanctioned calendar as you see on the bottom of the screen, moveunitedsport.org. Click on sports, and you will find the Move United 2021 sanctioned competition list. This is updated in real time, so if anything is postponed or is canceled due to COVID, we have been updating it there, but we are excited that 19 will still go as planned. Go ahead, Julie. Here's a view of some of them that may be around your local area. Texas Regional is kicking off on April 15th to 18th, and they do the sports of archery, boccery, cycling, powerlifting, shooting, swimming, tennis, and track and field. I won't go through all of these or all of their sports, but just know if you're looking for something specific, each of these events are a little bit unique and a little bit different. So some may offer just swimming, some may offer about 10 sports, as well as clinics and things you can try. So take a peek here. We have a downloadable PDF brochure that lists all of these along with their local event directors for you to be able to contact and learn some more. Go ahead. A few additional ones. Some of these, UCO Endeavor Games and Angel City will have virtual opportunities with their in-person competitions as well. So if you aren't yet comfortable traveling or being together with your peers on site, there will be a few opportunities to do some virtual activities as well. And we also have a Strava challenge going on right now through our website, where you can track some of your activity and some of your physical things that you're doing to stay active and stay healthy, so that we could get enough mileage to circumvent all of these events throughout the country together in our own homes. A few others listed here: 5280, Beehive Games. Those are two of our smaller events. They still really attract the local communities in Colorado and Utah, but would certainly love to see those expand. UCO Endeavor Games presented by the Hartford. Hopefully a few of you have checked out a great event in Edmond, Oklahoma, which is one of the ones I mentioned will have a virtual component. Peachtree Games, which used to be called Blaze Sports America Track and Field Meet, that's in Atlanta, Georgia. And then the Turnstone Games in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I mentioned the next one, it is a youth event. One of our signature events, we have two big signature events. One is Ski Spectacular, which you may have heard of earlier, that happens each December in Breckenridge, Colorado. Our other one to Move United is our Junior Nationals. I mentioned this because some of you may be still in the age range. We go up to the age of 22, but we could talk also more ways you can get involved in that event in just a bit. There will be an inaugural meet this year in the New England area in Boston, a archery competition in Chicago, and then Angel City Games is currently exploring when they are going to host their event. It's usually in June or early July, and they are choosing to push that back to the fall and winter, which may benefit some of you all that are still not traveling at this time. Go ahead, Julia. Two more, and those are in New Jersey. And one of our goals at Move United is to get more opportunity closer to you all on the ground and make sure we're in all communities around the country. So we'll see the sanctioned competition calendar evolve over time. These are some events that have been with us for decades. Tri-State in particular is 50 years old, as well as some of the newer ones that we like to create at least one new event every other year. So please note that this is an evolving list, but we're really excited that for this year we have these opportunities for you to get out and get active. They are all run by the local organizing committee in our local chapter, and we support through various routes, whether it be insurance or outreach or pass-through grant funding. So the best way to learn more is each of these individual websites, which you can find off that link on Move United that I mentioned earlier. But their event directors are typically great people that would love to talk to you and educate you a little bit more about these events. Each of them, like I said before, has a different look and feel. So really getting out to a few, trying them out, and seeing where your personality and where your strengths lie in as far as what they are offering. In case you're not yet fully comfortable in engaging in sport in person, I just want to let you know that each of those events we mentioned will have a COVID plan in place. These are evolving As we all know, this is kind of new to everyone in our world, and figuring this out as we go, and able to look at some best practices that have happened recently with the National Wheelchair Basketball Association and some of the other NGBs that are starting up back in person. But these are some things that you may typically see at some of the events as you start to go back out. Temperature checks, screening questions. Some of them will require a negative COVID test within 72 hours of arrival. And then things that I think at this point we're all used to everywhere we go in the community, with masks and social distancing. So these are posted on their event websites as they launch registration. And just know that these things are evolving. What's happening right now in Texas may be very different than what's happening in Angel City that happens this fall. So the bottom line there, though, is we want to make sure you're protected, and these event directors are doing what they can behind the scenes to make sure there's some safety measures in place. If you are interested in classification, we don't manage classification, US Paralympics does, but we offer venues for classifications to take place. So several of these events have national classification opportunities, specifically in track and field and swimming. So these can also be found on our website, as well as US Paralympics website under each sports classification area. I won't read through them all, but feel free to reach out if you are interested. There's a lot of great opportunities throughout the country. I mentioned junior nationals a little bit before. If you are in this age bracket, we'd love to have you come out. It is a qualification. You do have to qualify to join the event. So any of those that were leading up to junior nationals that I've mentioned are qualifying opportunities for it. You can also qualify at a national governing body sanctioned event. So a USA track and field event in your local area, a USA swimming event, USA archery event. You don't necessarily need to travel. So if this is your age bracket, please note that this exists, or if you work with some younger athletes, or potentially you're a coach or a mentor, please know that we'd love athletes to come out. This event this year will be in the Thornton, Westminster area, and we do rotate cities every 2 years. So we will put that event out to bid for 2023 to 2028 here in the month ahead. And then one other thing to note, this is both programmatic and some competition opportunity, is thanks to the Department of Veterans Affairs through the VA grant in 2015, we started a air gun program where we've launched 19 programs throughout the country for our chapter network that either had an air gun program, but we wanted to help enhance it, or didn't have an air gun program at all. So there's been 19 start throughout the country that we've provided some funds to get a slew of equipment and some training for their coaches, and now they're doing air gun programming on a consistent basis. COVID slowed us down a little bit, as it has a lot of things, but there's a really good opportunity through these organizations, through an online virtual match program through an Orion system, where athletes that are just in their everyday gym or everyday wherever they work, they can work at a warehouse, a gym, wherever their shooting program is, they can literally compete against people from across the country with this Orion system. So it's been a great opportunity for people to stay engaged and keep that competitive spirit without having to really travel too far. And this is off of our website as well if you want to get connected to the program. And then one more thing I want to mention as far as the competition space with Move United is we are members of the International Wheelchair and Amputee Sport Federation, which is a long name for basically the founding organization of the Paralympic Games. And what this means is we often field a team, typically every other year, of athletes to represent the U.S. to go over to this event, the Iowa's World Games. I look at this as a stepping stone where you've got local you've got regional, you've got national competition, and then you've got the Paralympic Games and World Championships. This is a developmental step between those. So a good place for athletes to get international experience, be against international competitors, but they might not yet be ready for the Paralympic Games, or that might not be their goal. So this is an opportunity we put out, every other year. So just an FYI, if you're interested in these kind of opportunities, sometimes there is a youth game, sometimes there is a game that is open for youth and adults. So just so you know. And then just know we have a resource to you. If anyone's ever met Jessica Cloy, she's a Paralympian, a wheelchair racer. She's our competition manager, and then I'm in the competition director for Move United. So between the two of us, please feel free to reach out. You might see us at some of the events. We're kind of behind the scenes helping some of the event directors nationwide expand and enhance what they're doing locally. So we wish you well, and we hope that you try some of these things out. Even, don't ever be intimidated. Know that there's all different levels out there. There's all different experience and abilities out there. So hopefully you can try some sport and get it at a little competitive level and enjoy yourself. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Julia and Leif.
Thanks so much, Susan. Well, that's just the tip of the iceberg with the competition opportunities, if that's not enough. But I'm going to stop sharing my screen and so that Leif can get set up here and tell you a little bit about some of the terrific events and things that come out of the National Veteran Sports Programs and special events. Leif Nelson has been gracious enough to join us. He's the director of that program. And you heard Susan mention the VA Adaptive Sports Grant Program. We've got a lot to thank that program for in funding not only the Air Gun series, but also a ton of the opportunities that Move United is able to host for veterans. So we're very grateful to everything Leif's team does for the adaptive sports movement. So without further ado, I'm going to turn things over to Leif, who's going to tell you a little bit about what lies ahead for them this year. Over to you.
And Julie, can you see my screen here? Do I have a slide up somewhere?
We do.
All right, beautiful. All right.
Loud and clear.
So, hello, I am Leif Nelson. I am the director of the National Veteran Sports Programs and Special Events for VA. So, I'm just going to run you through a crash course of who we are, what we do, what we offer, and encourage you to engage with us. We are on the social media all over the interweb at Sports for Vets. Track us down there, and here's our website, va.gov/adaptive sports. We have 6 national rehab events. We have a grants program. We have this training allowance program for the national events, the National Disabled Veterans Winter Sports Clinic. We just finished last week this program. This was at home this year. Due to the pandemic, we did not travel to Snowmass, Colorado. The live version has about 400 veterans skiing and engaging in other winter sports. We've thrown a little bit of scuba diving and rock climbing to mix it up. The at-home had a kind of conference-style sessions. Shout out to our veterans over 55 years of age. You are invited. And if you're younger than that, I'm sorry, you're going to have to wait to the National Veterans Golden Age Games. You can still register for this one. Again, go to our website, va.gov/adaptive sports, and click over to the Golden Age Games page, and you can link out right through there. The Golden Age Games, this is sports for veterans with and without disabilities. All veterans over 55 are eligible. We'll have about 500 veterans, maybe a little bit more, for our at-home competition, which starts in May. Registration ends in 8 days. And we will have a conference-style session in June to complement that. Live version is about 900 veterans, and we will be back in business in Sioux Falls in 2022 for that. We are still planning a live edition of the National Veterans Wheelchair Games. Thank you, Susan, for giving us a shout out in your presentation. We're going to the Big Apple. Some would say the greatest city in the world. I would be one of those people. We would do this in collaboration with Paralyzed Veterans of America. And this is a gigantic wheelchair sports competition. We're about 600 strong at this event. We For the at-home version this year, it'll be open to all veterans. That can get as big as it wants to. We will have a modified live version where we're going to have 2 different shifts instead of a week long. It's going to be a couple days longer of a program, and we'll have groups come in 2 different groups to compete in about. We typically have about 20 sports that we offer at the wheelchair games. We'll have about 9 per session and then 9 additional sports in the at-home session. Overall, it'll be about 15 different sports, and it's kind of differing groups by classification for that. The T tournament, this is in a transition phase. Spoiler alert, don't tell anybody till it's officially announced, but this may be going through a name change to focus on what it is a adaptive golf clinic. But this is our golf-based program. We offer an introduction to some other adaptive sports, but we do offer, as do all of our national rehab events, we have opportunities for competitors of all disabilities, all levels, and we can fit you into the program. There are some criteria for each based on which program it is. Summer Sports Clinic, this really targets our newly injured veterans, and with a wider array of disabilities from those that some folks call the invisible injuries, whether it be traumatic brain injury, PTSD, other challenges in the realm of mental health, through the classic or more signature disabilities that are associated with VA healthcare, spinal cord injury, limb loss, visual impairment. All are served through this program. You see some photos here from the at-home version, which happened this past September. This is hosted in San Diego. We did surfing and sailing and kayaking, as well as CrossFit, all at-home versions here. As you can see, a creative take on kayaking in the home. I would be remiss, and I will never forget the benefit of therapeutic arts. I realize that we are an adaptive sports presentation. The National Veterans Creative Arts Festival is a culmination of our gold medal winners from over 130 VAs across the country. We have at almost every VA, we have a competition phase where it really is for folks in different aspects of that healing continuum, where therapeutic arts is an outlet or a tool or an identity for some folks. And so we have a competition phase we did at home. It was robust. You can still Google our website. We were supposed to have taken down. It's still floating out there, but I can't give it to you, but you can find it on your own for that. But the National Veterans Creative Arts Competition, therapeutic arts, what a great tool for folks. And what we found with our positive response, I know Move United had to pivot in a lot of ways and offer a lot more virtual or at-home programming. And we did the same. We found a really positive response to our national rehab events. And so we offered more. Why not? Why not offer more? That's what we did. We listened to the people, and we brought out the Sports for Vets Throwdown, which is adaptive CrossFit. We work with a group called ATA, the Adaptive Training Academy. Great crew, not the least of Alec, who is a Navy veteran himself. But this crew, we had categories, an open category, kind of structured this along the lines of the CrossFit Open. We call it adaptive fitness, but you probably know it as CrossFit. And we offered 3 weekly competitions where we had kind of the workouts of the day. You had 3 or 4 days to submit your best workout, and we gave awards for that. We had over 200 folks register for that, and very limited promotion. So we're proud of that. I think that's here to stay. I think my time is almost up, but the grant program, which we partner up with Move United for this, they're one of our recipients. And in the sense of partner, is they do competitively apply and currently do hold some grants from us for training providers, as well as providing services to veterans and service members. We give out $15 million. We may be able to squeeze out up to $16 million this year. I'm working to see if we're able to do that, but it'll be at least 15. We also have some equine therapy in there. These programs are nearly in every state across the country. So you can find the hubs for these on our webpage. And then you can also reach out to the groups directly if there's one in your area. You can also reach out to us, sports4vets@va.gov. We are happy to connect you with services local in your area. the largest provider through the grant program is definitely Move United. And then we have a program, if any of you are on that elite athlete track, the VA monthly or the Veterans Monthly Training Stipend program. We of course, the highest profile athletes we have in this program are Paralympians. But we do have veterans that aren't Paralympians on this program, but this is kind of the continuum. Everything you've seen is kind of serves that continuum where this is those folks that, their job is being an athlete. And if you're a national team member or meet a standard that's posted on our website, you may be eligible for this to help. That we know it's difficult to be an athlete. We know it's even there's even less money out there for athletes with disabilities, and so this is one way for us to help support you in your training. And I just want to close by leaving you to believe that VA is cool. We are hip. VA is down with veterans of all generations. Besides the hip young efforts of CrossFit, which we found our veterans of all generations love, we also have dove into the world of adaptive esports with a partnership with Microsoft using their adaptive controller. We now offer competitive esports to veterans, regardless of ability, regardless of disability. We are here to serve you if you are a veteran. So with that, I would like to thank Move United for the opportunity.
Thanks a lot, Leif. That was a great overview. And I actually wanted, before you jump off, you can't get away, can you talk a little bit to the audience about the monthly stipend? And you mentioned qualification criteria on your website. Where would a veteran need to go to build up their qualifications to know that they would qualify for that stipend? Could you talk a little bit about how they could qualify?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go to va.gov/adaptive sports, click over to the monthly training allowance page, and you'll find the standards. I'm not positive that I am savvy enough to do this on the fly, but I am going to try. And what you will see is that depending on, we have about 30 sports that we support, and so here's the page. Are you seeing this, Julia?
Yep.
All right, and then we'll have these standards here posted. And so depending on the sport, there will be a certain standard. So for archery with set amount of arrows, you have to shoot a score of this criteria. Some of the standards are to just be on the national team. Some are time-based for cycling based on your classification. So that we're looking at cycling now. You have to meet this standard for men, this standard for women. And so all of this is posted. There'll also be a point of contact from the national credentialing body, the certifying official from typically one of the governing bodies of sport that oversee that sport. And so there's another contact you can reach out to there. You can always reach out to us. It's got to be a Paralympic sport or an IPC, International Paralympic Committee recognized sport. These are the sports, the 30 sports, I believe it's 30, if not it's 20. I know it ends in a 0. These are the sports that we currently support. They all are here. To achieve this, it is going to be typically in a competition that is credentialed by the governing body of that sport. So, some of those programs that Susan mentioned would qualify, some of them would not. And it's just, I think as you see the standards, see if you're classifiable for that. We do have a loophole. If for some reason you are a veteran with a disability, but you would qualify for an Olympic sport, not a Paralympic sport, you may be eligible as well. And that's a little more complicated. Just reach out to us and we can give you information on that. But ultimately, that's like a national team or Olympic qualifier to reach that. So that's a super, super niche area of it. But I think that's kind of the crash course related specifically to the allowance program.
No, that's great. Thanks for that overview. And if anybody's looking for inspiration on the Paralympics, of course, tune in to the Tokyo Games late summer. We won't be watching it live unless you live in Japan, but For everybody else, definitely check out the games, and then you can kind of see what you got to do. It's pretty amazing. And I think on a related note, Susan, if you are still with us, we had a question from somebody about track and field. Do you have any advice around which events someone should look to attend to get into that specific discipline?
Absolutely, and I'll drop that calendar into the chat again so you guys all have that for reference. But it really depends on your experience and your location. Some of the fun ones and the bigger ones are Endeavor Games, Desert Challenge Games, Angel City Games. Great Lakes Adaptive Sports Association has a Great Lakes Games outside of Lake Forest, Illinois. So those are all a little bit more vibrant, and as far as population, there's a lot more people at them. You'll see a lot of good performances on the track. It'll definitely be well run as far as officiating. If you're just getting into it, it might be fun and good to go to one of the smaller events just to get your feet wet. And those, like I said before, some of the smaller ones are 5280 Challenge in Denver, Colorado, Beehive Games in Salt Lake County, and Dairyland Games has got some momentum up in Madison. So I think first and foremost, it's where you're located. You know, go to the closest one to you. That'll be the most economical, and you'll also get to meet some people in your local area that can be an ongoing resource for you, whether that be coaches or officials or event directors or classifiers. All of those people have different knowledge and different experience that could lead you down a good path. So if you need some help locating one that's close to you or connecting to someone, feel free to reach out to me. I'll also put my email in the chat here. But you can't go wrong. Just one step at a time and head out to whatever's the closest, and it'll almost go from there like a little waterfall effect of getting involved.
Yeah, it's a great thing about the adaptive sports community at large is everybody's so welcoming and wanting to help that you really can't go wrong, like you said. And for those of you that maybe aren't are done with competing but are still interested in contributing or getting involved in this space, tune into the session after this one. I think it's 5:15. You can learn a little bit about getting involved in adaptive sports training and education. And if you're interested as an official or a volunteer, then there are plenty of opportunities through the series and other spaces for lots of people to get involved. Leif mentioned Move United has a training grant with the VA. One of the big focal points of that, which we will be talking about, is to raise up veterans as our next adaptive sports leaders and train you all up as coaches and instructors. So definitely look forward to chatting more about that. Someone had asked a question about snowboarding. I think probably I'll address this directly. If you are looking, you're already sort of a terrific snowboarder and at a competitive level already. A lot of USSA sanctioned competitions are already pretty welcoming of adaptive athletes. They don't all have an adaptive division. I would encourage those who are new to consider coming out to Ski Spectacular. Don't be fooled by the name. It definitely has a very significant snowboarding component. And the national coaches, we're fortunate that they run our race camp. So it's an absolutely great venue to learn how to race and then also get plugged into that community. There's a lot of passionate individuals who will help guide you kind of where to go and where to kind of level up from there. So I would encourage everybody to visit us in Breckenridge, Colorado. There are also some additional member organizations of Move United that have a specialization with snowboarding and have a snowboard race program. So I can, I'll message you directly some of those ones to get in touch with, depending on where you live. But I think that was most of our questions for today. I don't know if Susan or Leif, you had anything closing you wanted to say, but this has been a great conversation.
I would like to take a moment to congratulate Rhonda on participating in the National Veterans Creative Arts Festival and winning 3 gold medals.
Definitely. And we can't wait for everybody to win a lot of gold medals this year. We're more than everyone on this call. We want to be back out there competing.
Absolutely. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be on this panel and for all of you taking your time today to be with us. And most important thing is just to get active and get engaged, no matter if it's recreational or competitive or whatever you find, whether it be some of the really cool on-demand and virtual opportunities that are going on or in person. But once we do all get out and get back to a little bit more normalcy, we hope to see you in one capacity or the other. We're excited about all that ahead.
Yeah, and I would echo that. I think all I would like to close with is I think Susan's right on when she says kind of look locally to start if you don't really know where to start. And you know, your local VA may have a recreation therapy department. That's great. If there's a Move United chapter in your area, get engaged with them. You know, there's a lot of ways to also build to competition if that's where you're at. And then if you are at that competition phase, sometimes that involves a little more traveling to get to the more elite competitions. But you know, stick with it. It's I think the more when your skills elevate, I think there's even more enjoyment to be found in sport. And so I encourage folks to you know, continue and take it as far as they really want to set their own goals.
All right, thanks everyone, and appreciate you joining us. Hope we'll see you at 5:15 and then out there on the track this summer.